Again, thank you everybody for joining us. Again, my name is Chris Ewings. I am the sales director for Stepwise. This is Beck Hayes, who is our utility consultant. Go ahead with the next slide. This is the EV charger program for CT-based EV installers. The agenda for the training, we're going to go over the EV charging program for those Connecticut-based installers. For all you guys, it's a managed charging program. We'll go over technical training on our tap load management solution, and then go through the installation checklist for how you guys will get paid.
All right. Yeah, sure. Yeah, so happy to just share a little bit more about the program overview. There are two main objectives for this program. We are looking to increase enrollment for managed charging and data fidelity. And also we are expanding access to EV charging for homes that do not have enough electric capacity. So that's the goal of the program, just making it so that we can have more access to managed charging times for the utilities to make sure that there's not load capacity, like overcapacity. And then it's also helpful for the homeowners. I'll go into that in just a minute on the next slide. This is a pilot program. It's funded by the PURA agency, so that's the Public Utilities Regulatory Authority. It's an IES Innovation Energy Solutions program, and this is funded by the public utilities. And so what we can tell our customers is that, they're already paying into this type of program, so it would be, helpful for them to take advantage of that and join the program. And this is in partnership with UI and Eversource. So the expectations and guidelines for installers: you must be a licensed electrician in the state of Connecticut, so that's E1 or master electrician. And you'll be paid as normal for your EV charger installation, however you set that up normally. But what we do on our end is we provide a free Stepwise tap to be deployed, and then up to $500 of incentive payments. The first 5 installations will be at $350 per device, and then after that, it would be $500 per device. And we have 100 Stepwise taps to roll out during this program, which again are provided free of charge. It's available first come, first serve. So you can just let Chris know when you have a job lined up, and he will get you the tap as quick as he can. And this deployment, it's starting April 1st, so just in a couple of days, and it runs from April through October. So that is that. And then this is just a helpful slide again for what's in it for homeowners and to help explain a little bit more about the program. This is to upgrade their home's electrical capacity at no cost to them. So they can receive a free smart load manager and then have the professional installation provided by you. And then what this program does is it allows them to charge their EV faster, regardless of the brand. And then it unlocks savings with the Eversource and UI managed charging programs. So that's really important, is to get them connected to these programs so that the utilities can understand the managed charging mechanisms. And then finally, it's just helpful for future-proofing their home. They're adding appliances like heat pumps, induction stoves, hot tubs. This just helps them do that without going the full panel upgrade, which is, of course, a lot more expensive. This is available to all Connecticut households, regardless of income level. I know there was some confusion because the other program does have an income level cap for incentives, but this one is for anyone. And of course, there is a limited number. We're starting this pilot with 100 units. And I will pass it over to Chris to get into the technical stuff.
Awesome. Thanks, Beck. And keep in mind too, for all of these panels that you'd be installing these on, they don't need to be capacity constrained. So basically any EV charger, job that you have lined up within that Connecticut territory, you can add one of these devices to, and it's basically a free upsell for you folks, and another kind of managed charging port for the utilities to be able to pop in and out of as needed. So this is our Stepwise tap. Load management solution, very simple, line in and load out system with monitoring. Go ahead with the next slide there, Beck. It's similar to load shedding, in generators. I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen those before, simple on-off contact solutions. This will shut off, the connected load that is downstream of the tap itself. Prevents basically the entire panel from overloading. So it does that through calculating, through the CTs and the math inputs that you guys are configuring on the dip switch configuration. So obviously we'll want to keep these two single phase panels, 200 amp max. If they do happen to have 400 amp service with two 200 amp panels, okay to put it on one of those panels for at least one of the sides of the home to manage any of those loads or control them. It's good for any level 2 EVSE, 48 amp max, 60 amp breaker. You've got on-off control with, again, any EVSE that you're going to run into. We do have something called dynamic control. So if anybody is familiar with like the Tesla Meter or some of the other kind of add-on products for some of the other, some of the other products that are out there at the charger level, some of them are able to kind of modulate the charge level. The way that kind of basically works is it's going to do the continuous math. There's only 20 amps available in a customer's home, but the charge level is set at 48. It's going to know to charge the vehicle based on 20 amps of capacity and then ramp it back up as different appliances come offline. And again, that's working with Tesla vehicles through the VIN vehicle identification number that you would input into the system. And we do have a short video to walk you through that if the customer wants that extra feature, but it is not required, for this program or for those chargers. Go ahead with the next slide there, Beck. So the CTs, again, are the ones that do the monitoring. I'm sure you guys are familiar with those. There is polarity there. So it's got to be the direction of the electricity that's flowing into the panel. Then those go into the P for primary input system that's on our device. That's how it's going to monitor. And then you'll see on the left-hand side there, it's got the dip switch configuration. You've got one for the main panel. So don't worry, we have guides on, how to set up those dip switches for the configuration. It's right on the inside cover of the device itself as well. So for the main you're going to set, the load you're going to set as well. And then in 99 out of 100 cases, you're going to leave the sub panel setting there alone. Everything should be factory reset off to the right. The only time that you're going to have that is when you have two sets of CTs, when you want to balance two different panels. So that way it's always kind of taking the lower half of the math there between the two panels to make sure it keeps the total service safe. From there, it's just a number 6 cable is the max that it will receive. So number 6 THHN. Line in and again load right out to the appliance. So in this case, it's going to be EVSE. And yeah, these are indoor only applications. We do have NEMA 3R. If you do have any of those, I guess, situations come up, just contact me directly and let me know. Otherwise, everything else that's going to be sent out is our indoor only models. We do have a wireless signal that's available on the device. That's very important for these 100 homes that they need to be connected to Wi-Fi. That's how they'll be able to participate in that program. And then there is a leave behind postcard for some commissioning, but we'll have you guys kind of go through that for these particular ones here. So you'll see the dip switch guide right here. It's a little bit of a closer look. So you can see the configurations can be done anywhere from 15, all the way up to 200 amps. For main service panels, it's actually going to be 60, 100, and then 125, 150, and 200. And those other lower settings can be done on the sub panel configuration. Next slide. All right, so this is where you'll be commissioning the tap, and we're going to play a short video here and just kind of walk through what it is that you need to do. So I guess a little bit of background filler here. Our device does emit its own Wi-Fi signal, which is great. Yeah, if you want to back this up.
There you go.
Awesome. So this is, you're going to do an electrician sign in. You're going to enter your email and create a password and then sign in. So this is where you would register. You're going to register the device. It has a serial number. It always starts with S as in Sierra, P as in Papa. Then you're going to put in the homeowner's first name, email address, where the property is located, the installation date, and then you're actually going to take a photograph of the install. and you're just going to upload it really quickly in here. You're going to select the load. Obviously, it's going to be EV charger, and it's going to walk you through each step of the configuration here. So you're going to stand near the tap, and you're going to receive that Wi-Fi signal. You'll see it's a EV tap, lowercase Stepwise is the password for the SSID. Then you're going to hit next step there, and you're going to click the Wi-Fi setup, which means that the homeowner's Wi-Fi needs to be available in that area. Can you pause real quick, Beck?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right here. So it's important that the customer's Wi-Fi is present in the area where the tap is. I understand that that might be in a basement or in a garage, so sometimes the signal's not always that strong. I would suggest if you run into that situation, you're going to need a Wi-Fi repeater or extender of some kind. I know they make pretty cheap light bulbs, or just simple plug-in solutions that can go right into an outlet that might be located in the basement or in the garage, so that you could kind of get a stronger signal. Aside from that, you should be able to connect. You'll need the homeowner's Wi-Fi network and their password, so they can just enter that information. You can go ahead and play there. Perfect. And then once you've configured the Wi-Fi and connected everything, enter their password, and then hit connect. Should be able to get to the next screen. And then you're going to go right into the next step for the setup here. Looks like it's repeating. There we go. And this is if you want to set up dynamic charging. If they don't have a Tesla vehicle or a Wallbox Pulsar Plus charger, you can just skip that step. If you want to go the extra mile, you can. If not, you can have the customer themselves actually leave behind that postcard, or have them call us and we can help them set that up. Verifying all the connections, making sure that the Wi-Fi is up and running, the data is tracking, and then a notification will get sent to you as well. And that's when you know that you are all set and you've completed all 5 steps of the process. The reality is, I know it looks like it's a lot, probably should only take like 10 minutes, you know what I mean, to actually get the commissioning, get the device online, and get everything connected. And then just snapping that quick photo and making sure that it gets uploaded in there. And then obviously, if you run into any issues, we do have full support from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday Eastern time. You're going to get myself, our CEO, or one of our engineers on the phone. So we'll definitely walk you through it if you have any issues.
I have a question.
Sure.
Is the so it's on off if you're not using the dynamic settings? Is that only controlled by the CTs that are on the customer's panel, or are there times that it's going to be shut off based on the grid demands of the utility?
It definitely could be set up for demand response calls, I think is what you're alluding to there. So that is definitely a kind of a future tense, something that the utilities could take on. So we are set up for demand response, and there is the device essentially will blink and disengage or open up the relays inside. If that is the case, to my knowledge, Beck, is there any plans for demand response immediately on the 100 units, or is that something that is going to be maybe something closer to when we have 1,000, I would think?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think it's going to kind of take a little time to just figure out where those numbers land and what they're going to want to do. So yeah, I wouldn't expect it to come out, right after, but I can see why they would want to expand it, especially like once we start seeing those deployment numbers. Like if everything goes out in April, then that's crazy, because again, they're kind of planning this through October. So I think it'll really kind of depend on what we see in these first few months of the program.
The customer is going to want to know if they're going to be limited on their charging by the utility.
At this point, there won't be any necessary limits to my knowledge in the T's and C's on their charging. This is more to gather. They're going to be paying for data. They're going to be paying for the ability to kind of know where these devices are and test out all the data on the back end. So that's why they're willing to basically grant these funds for this program. So I think it's safe to say that anytime, just from my past experience with selling Wi-Fi thermostats for utility organizations and to installers, that customers have to sign up for demand response. So it's not an automatic enrollment, and so it's something that they would have to, audibly or participate in voluntarily. So I assume that when that part of the program would be rolled out, they would get notice or some sort of notification, an email, or some sort of a bonus incentive that they would get for wanting to participate in the demand response program. And typically that's only when there are super high peak demands, which is going to be between 3 and 6 p.m., 3 and 7 p.m. And this is a managed, charging program where they're going to get, monthly incentives depending on the tier level that they land on. So to my knowledge, you can let the customers know, depending on the tier that they qualify for, it's either going to be $10 a month, continuously rolling as a credit on their bill, or it could be as much as 20.
Yeah, and those tiers, it'll be really clear when what permissions they have and things like that. Yeah.
Right now, though, it's very simple. It's just that it allows them to charge with a smaller panel, and it's going to limit the charging based on the load on the service.
Exactly. So if you have a 100 amp service panel, the device is going to be looking for 80 amps for a period of 1.5 to 2.5 minutes. Once it notices that there's no spikes that happen, and then some sort of ebb and flow, it's not going to cut it off immediately. It's going to wait. Basically it's kind of programmed so that it works just like a breaker. When it notices that overheat coming, it's going to basically open up the relays and just know to de-energize that load. And I'm sure, as everybody in this room knows, that most of the appliances that you guys install are rated for a certain breaker rating, but they don't pull nearly that much. So even on a 100 amp service, they probably have plenty of room. And devices like this are really for AHA compliance, letting inspectors know that by code you're able to add this device and that it's a managed load. So gives the basically it's like buying the customer capacity. So this is just kind of a panel of our website here, which is getstepwise.com. It's got all the resources that you would need. We'll make sure if you guys need copies of the manuals or any spec sheets, any additional information for the customers, you can ask myself, our CEO, Jane, or Beck here will also get you a ton of information that will get sent post the meeting. So you'll have all the resources you need to be able to, articulate it to the customers and get them to understand what it is that they're getting themselves into. And again, just want to reiterate, it does not have to be a constrained panel. It can be a 200 amp service with plenty of room, to add this on there, and just kind of buys them some capacity for down the road. Or, if they happen to have, capacity constraint, it's a great option for them to be able to get into. And actually go back one slide back there. I just wanted to, that's our support number, the 508-684-2402. You can hit, 1 for, technical support. I believe 2 will get you to support as well. And number 3 is for sales, obviously. But if you have any questions, you can just give us a call at that number. It is good for texting as well. So you can text there anytime if that's what you prefer. Basically, your installation cheat sheet is right here. Things to remember: the units must be installed indoors. It is suitable only on residential buildings, so single and small multifamily homes. So if you're running into any, 3 and 4 families, or row homes, townhomes, those kinds of things, we could definitely work on those. We just have a tendency to stay away from high rises with giant meter banks, although we can work in those situations depending on the setup. Customers must have or be getting an EV charger installed at the same time. And then also the direct customers to our landing page if they have more questions that are kind of beyond the information that you're provided, which is getstepwise.com/CT program. Units must be fully commissioned, registered, and Wi-Fi connected before you leave in order to qualify for payment. So that's an important one. That's through the whole commissioning video that we showed you. We'll get you guys a copy of that as well. And the walkthrough, without all of those, check marks happening, unfortunately, they won't be able to get you paid from the program. So I'm sure if you work in any of these programs, you know how that paperwork works. So you have to get all that done in order to get paid. Some code references for inspection. Most inspectors in the Northeast are pretty familiar with us. We do spend a lot of times at IAI events and MECA events, and so We do talk with a lot of inspectors, but it's for your code cycle currently it's 750.30C for load management, capacity of a branch circuit feeder or service, 625.42A EVSE connected to energy management system. We are UL listed under 916, so we are considered a single load energy management system and monitoring system. How you get paid, I guess, is kind of the last one. We did go over some of those details, but we'll go through some of this again. Starting April 1st, 2026, I have had some guys reach out to me, even as early as last week, about trying to receive units for stuff ahead of April 1st. Obviously, we're only a few days away from that, so it's got to be installed on April 1st or after, and then obviously before the end of October or whenever we run out of the 100 homes. You have to have a new EV charger job. Reach out to ctprogram@getstepwise.com with your name, mailing address, the installation date, and a request for the tap. We'll then get you into the queue. We'll ship it out. Typically, we're shipping same day before noon. If it's in the afternoon or evening that you place that order, quote unquote, we'll ship it out the next day, and you should receive it within 3 to 5 business days. But they're coming from Buffalo, New York, so reality is it should be about 2 to 3 days. Step number 3, obviously you're going to install and commission the device, and then reimbursement will be processed within 15 business days or about 3 weeks after the installation. So we'll definitely be a little bit quicker than utility usually is. Reimbursement checklist. After installation, you're going to complete the device commissioning through the portal. We'll get you that link, which is just getstepwiseapi.com auth and setup. Ensure that you make it to the very end to receive the data verification, which will be right at the very end. So you'll see step 3 there is verify, and then you'll get to the next part, which is complete, and then you're good to go. Have the customer sign up for the program form on the site. So that's another important thing, is we need to distinguish between UI and Eversource customers. So we'll need to collect that data as well. You can send them that link ahead of time. If you have an installation on Friday, you can send it to them on Thursday. Make sure that they create an account for managed charging. That's the only way that they're going to get the incentive. So you can just send them that link ahead of time. It's a really quick form for them to fill out, and then once that's done, the customer's eligible.
Thanks, Chris. And I just wanted to highlight when it's a really great idea, to send it to them ahead of time, just to kind of get the ball rolling on it, because when they decide between Eversource and UI, they have just to do a quick little add their email to their website as well. So it's like a little confusing. It's almost like 2 signups. It's very short. It's not a lot of information, just their email address, but just wanted to highlight that. And when they're going through the process, they might have a question or be a little confused. And so we just want to make sure that they sign up on the actual form that's listed here, and it'll bring them to a link to their utility provider as well.
Thanks, Beck. Appreciate that. So again, thank everybody for being here. I know we scheduled an hour. I usually fly through these things in less than 30 minutes. So here we are 27 minutes later. You can scan this QR code, and complete the following form if you haven't signed up already. That's exactly where we'll get all your information, and Beck will be able to follow up with all the details that we went through today. And I always like to leave a little bit of time here, to answer any other technical questions, or Beck, you have Beck's attention here for any of the stuff on the program. So feel free to fire away if you need anything.
And this is the official sign-up form that we'll need everyone to sign up for to be involved in the program. And I'll also send this link after the meeting with a whole bunch of other information for you, just directly to your emails.
Hello. So I'm on my phone. So thank you for, if we could get all the information sent via email, that'd be perfect.
Absolutely, John. We'll make sure you get all that, and we will send out a recording of the training as well. So if you have anybody else, if you're multi-members in the crew that need to see all this stuff, let us know. We'll make sure that you get a copy of the training as well. And yeah, obviously you can call us anytime or email in if you have additional questions. But I'm sure that we'll bury you guys in plenty of resources.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you.
Of course. And I wanted to note as well, like we'll keep a tally, obviously, of the number of homes that have been committed and keep you guys in the loop on how many we have left, because we don't want anybody to run into a situation where, you actually have a capacity constrained customer, then you're counting on this device for free along with a free installation of it. So we'll make sure to let you guys know, kind of where things stand, as we get down to, 50 units, 40, 30, 20, 10, and then obviously once the program is complete.
I have a question.
Go for it.
Yeah, so when these units, I guess a few years down the line, when they start to fail and this program is no longer available, how is that going to work? Do you just reach out and send out replacement?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So we do have a 3-year warranty from the date of installation. We stand behind our product to last as long as a normal panel would. It doesn't have a lot of moving components. And right now, out of over 1,000 units, we've had now 6 that have come back.
Okay.
And we've been deploying them out in the field since 2024. So they are new, but certainly very well made up in Buffalo, New York. So I can appreciate where you're coming from, Ariel, but we will definitely stand behind the product. And if it's something that went wrong in terms of manufacturing or anything like that, we will absolutely replace the unit.
Okay, that gives us peace of mind. Also, so essentially the power company is just buying data because they're providing this for free. So is it just to see, because I still kind of don't understand why they're putting this out. Is it just to get information on how much power the customer is using once they buy an EV?
Yeah, I think it's different layers of grid data, right? So, with, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the new 2026 code, that's coming up. I'm sure you've probably taken plenty of classes on it or are familiar with it. So, load management and energy management, monitoring, all that stuff is moving up to chapter 1 now. So it's all going to be Article 130 instead of 750, where it was kind of buried at the back of the book. And so all utilities are not, the public utility commissions are not allowing the utilities to oversize their infrastructure, right? That costs billions and billions of dollars that they were willing to put up. But the reality is that would, significantly increase the cost of electricity for all of the consumers, including us. So the reality is that the only way that they're going to be able to reach all of their electrification goals that they have for making sure that every home, has everything turned over from natural gas resources and oil over to electric is that they're going to have to do something that's called grid resilience. And how you do that is with load management, both in hardware and software, to make sure that they're always managing the grids appropriately. And yes, in the future, there will be lots of demand response programs that are going to get rolled out, where folks, unfortunately, are not going to be able to either charge vehicles or, do certain, high load appliances, maybe run a hot tub, things like that, or a spa or a sauna. At certain times of the day when demand is so high. So that's really all it is, just making sure that they're gathering all the right data in terms of usage on different streets, different areas of the state, and doing a whole analysis on what their true demand really is for each one of these areas. And they know that it's a really safe way for them to be able to add more EV chargers to the grid, because they're always going to be managed appropriately. They're not being, put in by unlicensed contractors, and making sure that everybody's keeping everything safe.
Understood. That makes sense. So if I understand correctly, so essentially, if an area has an excess of EV chargers, do I see them upgrading the infrastructure or potentially limiting the amount of EV chargers the new customers could potentially obtain in the future?
That's a really good question, Ariel. So the reality is, I've seen this in other parts of the country, right? I don't think we've quite been hit very hard, since EV adoption is really still pretty low here. But I could use California as a really good example of this, is that they are, for lack of a better way to put it, like they punt a lot of these projects down the road 6-8 months, just with utility permits, just for that very reason, is that if they have 5 or 6 on, EV chargers on the same street, a lot of times that's going to prompt them to have to update either ground or pole transformers. And I'm sure, as you guys know, a lot of those are like 50 to 72 weeks out. because we get, I think 90% of them from overseas. So the reality is that those types of projects take a long time for them to upgrade that infrastructure. And so there might be some times that we'll see in the future where they may tell you that you can't, install certain appliances for a period of time just because they're awaiting, some sort of structural upgrades.
I see. That, which is kind of scary at the same time, but we'll see where that leads, because this whole push for EV, I guess no one took in consideration the infrastructure, or I guess they're doing it now, but
They definitely are. Yeah, it is a little bit scary for sure. It's for especially for all the good consumers, even all of us that try to participate in this, right? Like, it's a part of the business. It's the industry that we're all in. Is electrifying homes and making sure that it's all done with code compliance and that you're doing the right things. And the reality is that the utility is not going to over bolster up their infrastructure until it starts to present some problems. Like they're all gonna do it the way that they can, and the reality is that they're not allowed to upgrade everything ad hoc. So that has to go through a lot of checks and balances. And from what I've been reading, seeing, and hearing, a lot of that has been kind of punted down the road, or have been told that they can make certain upgrades, but not going to be able to do all the things that they had hoped to be able to do.
Absolutely. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I just wanted to say that I liked what you were saying last week too, Chris, about how like the managed charging is going to your point, Ariel, like avoid kind of disrupting consumer needs because of just how we can do the managed charging, right? Like if someone plugs in their device, but then it doesn't start charging till like 3 a.m., that could be okay because it's just like an overnight thing, or, getting ready for the, I don't know, I forget exactly how you put it last week, but just like depending on the user, it'll be okay in some situations.
Absolutely. The reality is that their experience, with so many of these types of devices, but just EV chargers across the country, we've found that most vehicles, are more than well charged at 80% or more, by the morning anyways. So the reality is if they just weren't allowed to charge until a certain time, like the devices wouldn't operate at all, they'd still have, plenty of battery capacity in the morning. To be able to take off. They're also going to get, better rates at night than they would during the, peak demand hours. And so it's going to save them money. It's going to be like a set it and forget it kind of a situation where, they can schedule their charging for later. They can still plug in the vehicle. It's just not going to charge until it's time. And they just don't have to worry about it. So I think for most people that buy EVs, they're putting around town. You're not necessarily driving and commuting 200 plus, miles a day. And so the reality is that most folks are probably pulling in their home around 60% battery and only need another 20% charge to get there by morning. So you shouldn't have any customer complaints on, saying that my car is not charging by the morning because XYZ reasons. For the most part, they should be fine. And for those who are, driving a lot and commuting a lot, they're probably using the public charging infrastructure anyways during the day while they're out and about.
Understood. One last question. And in regards, what would cause this program to, I suppose, stop at 100 or continue going? Is there a metric that they're trying to achieve? Or I know it's just a pilot program, they're just trying to see what it is, but would this continue down the line?
We think that it will. If we fill up this program really quickly and they are able to harvest a lot of really good data, and they can get, data is a real hot button topic for all types of industries, right? So harvesting that data for them is very, very valuable, which is why they're willing to pay, good money for this. And the reality is that there are a lot of utility programs that are rolling out continuous managed charging programs, kind of beyond these types of things, as well as load management. Like I had referenced before, with it being, so far up front in the book for the NEC in 2026, over the next 3 to 5 years, that I wouldn't be shocked if they actually require load management for a lot of projects like this in the future. Just for those reasons, they want to have them connected to the ability to demand respond as needed. They want to be able to harvest that data so that they can, make sure that they're keeping the grid safe. And there's no reason why I wouldn't believe that if we're extremely successful with this over the next couple of months, that they wouldn't want to either, maybe perhaps extend it out or, roll out a full program for next year where, it could be thousands of homes that would be eligible.
Awesome. Thank you. And now you said the payment for the first 5, it's 300 or 350 rather, and then
Yes. 350, and then on the sixth one, so 6 through 100 is going to be 500 each. So the idea is that you would want to do, the first 5 would be 350, and then everything after would be $500.
$500. And again, we deal as far as selling we just presenting this to the customer essentially for free to them, just for the exchange of their power consumption.
It's it's just basically all it is, just data. That's all you really have to relay is this device is going to be able to relay information back to the utility on, the usage of your charger and all that kind of stuff. And it's a free program. And for you guys, all you're doing is intercepting that same branch circuit that you're creating. So, it's going to pay you for your time, that you're consuming while you're installing it. And then, beyond that, it's an agreement that you've made with them to install the EV charger anyway. So hopefully it's going to really benefit a lot of the customers that you would run into that you would normally have to trigger an upgrade for. But if it doesn't, that's okay too. It's something something cool that they can get. And they can also create logins as well. And they can, we do have a back-end dashboard where they're able to kind of see the capacity, of their home, see if there's any load shedding events that happen. And we're going to continue to kind of build that out so that there's more data for them to be able to look at as well, because we do have a lot of really cool features that unfortunately only people like myself and other people who work for the organization can see, but also we could share with the utility. So we want to be able to put that on the front end of the platform for them as well, so they can see, different graphs, usage, peak demand, all those kinds of things, so that they understand what they're using.
Yeah. And so at the end of the day, it's really just about gathering the numbers and the information right now. And if for those customers that are more concerned about privacy or sharing data, that's what the tiers are for. So they can just sign up for the basic one, which gives the utility less data. It'll be, a less of an incentive. But then for those that don't mind as much, they can sign up for the advanced tier and get $20 a month as opposed to $10 a month.
Got it. Thank you.
And if you get any objections and they happen to have an AMI meter on their home, that's reporting back a lot of the same data. So they've already got one of those installed. It's, the jig's up, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly. They know how much power they're using.
Exactly. But this, instead of the whole home, will be able to tell them a lot more data and information on that single circuit, which is really what the utilities want to see.
Thank you.
Of course. Anything else?
All set.
All right.
Yeah, I think I'm good. At least, you guys are a phone call away.
We are indeed. Tomorrow I'll be down in New Jersey for an IAEI event. But if you guys need anything, you just call that support number. One of us will definitely pick up and happy to talk you through everything. And my cell phone, I think, is on every correspondence that we send out to. So if you see my cell phone on there, just give me a call or shoot me a text anytime. If you need anything, I'm always here to help.
Appreciate it, Chris. Thank you back for everything.
Anytime, John. Thank you, guys. We'll give you back 18 minutes. Again, thank you so much for coming tonight. I know you guys are busy, work long days. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll follow up with all the details and emails right after this call.
Perfect. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thanks, everybody.
Have
Take
a good
care.
Have a good
evening.
night. Bye.